The time has come to return to Battlefield 4 in order to see if it's worth playing also in 2024, since I did a similar video back in 2023. Battlefield 4 is alongside with BF1 my two favorite Battlefield games, you might say, although I have to mention the good old Bad Company 2 game, which was the first Battlefield game I ever played. I'm playing BF4 on PC, so most thoughts and experiences will be related to the PC version of the game. Now, it was nice to see that there were quite a few servers to be found when it comes to the server browser in BF4, although I was hoping to see more rush servers, since that's one of my favorite game modes in Battlefield. The first thing I thought of when getting back into the game is the actual gunplay that I've always enjoyed in BF4. It's also one of the reasons why I also returned to this game, but also a reason why it's one of my Battlefield favorites. It feels good and it's also rewarding, and no matter what gun or class I'm using. And of course, when I say class, it feels also great to play an actual class in a Battlefield game, which serves a purpose in the bigger picture when you're playing a grand scale game mode such as Conquest. But Battlefield 4 has also had its problems along its way. For example, the single-player campaign got criticized at launch, and the multiplayer had numerous bugs and glitches to start with that players had to deal with. But even so, the game became a commercial success with over 7 million copies sold. BF4 was released in 2013 on PC, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Now, looking back into this almost 11-year-old game, it's pretty easy to realize that it was a time when DICE was on fire, if you will, maybe even being in their prime, pumping out quite some new content such as DLCs into the game, and then releasing Battlefield Hardline in 2015 and Battlefield 1 in 2016. I believe we can feel confident saying that this was the peak era when it comes to the franchise. We must not forget though that they reached far also with BF3 that was released already back in 2011. Now, Battlefield 4 has around 1k players on average due to the Steam charts, but according to Active Player IO, BF4 has altogether, when it comes to all platforms, a daily average of 416k players. Now that sounds quite a lot, but I would be surprised if that many players still are playing the game on a daily basis. This should mean that BF4 is an active game still when it comes to multiplayer on many of the consoles as well. Please share your experiences in the comments if you're still playing Battlefield 4 on console. Over the years, the older Battlefield games has been doing pretty well. BF1 also has high player counts, if you will, about 6k players on average due to Steam charts and close to 200k average players on Active Player IO. And I did a video not long ago about BF5 that was released in 2018, and there's around 11k players on average on the Steam charts and almost 500k players on average a day according to Active Player IO that are playing Battlefield 5. Compare that to Battlefield 2042, that was around 10k players on average on Steam and 112k players on average on a daily basis on Active Player IO. Now, BF 2042 gets beaten by BF5 altogether, and BF1 has more players in total than BF 2042. BF4 gets beaten by BF 2042, but not by much. Now, this shows that most Battlefield players are still preferring the older Battlefield games over the newest, and maybe you're one of them. But it also shows that whatever DICE and EA decides to do when it comes to the upcoming new Battlefield game, Battlefield 7 if you will, they better get it right from the start this time, or the franchise will truly sink to a low that may not be repairable. Some guys means that has happened already and that we are already there. But then it might feel refreshing to hear that quite a few people are playing and enjoying Battlefield 4 still 11 years later after release, and nowadays you can most likely get Battlefield 4 for a good price if you look around. I saw that there's an offer on Steam at the same time I'm doing this video, making it possible for you to get Battlefield 4 Premium Edition for around €6. So is it worth it? Is Battlefield 4 worth playing in 2024? Oh yes, I believe so. When I get into the game once more, I can still get a bit excited playing on certain maps and certain scenarios with a lot of people getting into the same place. Battlefield 4 was able to create that immersive and epic Battlefield feeling that has been the reason why at least I have kept coming back to some of these older Battlefield titles mentioned, in order to play some large-scale war with vehicles and infantry along its each other, and destructible environments, of course, planes and tanks and everything that comes with the Battlefield game. And it's hard to find anything else that plays like this also now in 2024. And as mentioned, Battlefield 4 managed to improve itself quite a lot from launch, making it one of the best Battlefield experiences you can ever get after the time of improvement. This was also a time when there was quite a lot of content added in the form of DLCs into the game. There are of course pros and cons when it comes to the premium model over the seasonal model, for example. However, I think we can agree upon the fact that we simply got more content along the way when it comes to most of the older BF games compared to the newest. Now this is something that today also makes a difference when playing the game once more all these years after release, and might also be a thing to know if you're considering to buy the game, that there's quite a lot of player value into the game, because good maps and also a big variety of maps is also one of the reasons why I do like a game such as Battlefield 4. And I hope the lesson is learned here when it comes to DICE and EA when they will announce their new Battlefield game. A number of new maps and overall content has to be prepared and ready to be launched on a regular basis in order to continue to give the players a strong incentive to log into the game week in and week out. Then of course we have the overall design of the game. Now Battlefield 4 is grounded in the core, you might say, core foundation of being a Battlefield game. Now Battlefield 2042 wasn't, and it never succeeded to do that. Now with that said, imagine for a second what would have happened if DICE and EA would have released a Battlefield 2042 kind of game in the same style of Battlefield 4. Now the innovation of course is important also for being a developer. You want to do new stuff in a game, but you can still achieve that without tearing almost the whole concept of a game apart. So again, imagine that. We would most likely be in a totally different situation today when it comes to the Battlefield franchise, and also the overall interest of the game and the franchise, and player count numbers would most likely be quite different, meaning higher. I guess there's a reason why some say if it ain't broken, don't fix it. With that said, yes, it's definitely possible to start with, but also worth it, in my belief, to play this game also, meaning Battlefield 4 also in 2024. This belongs to the, you might say, epic games of that time and era, and it's still playable in 2024, so there's definitely no reason not to try it out, especially if you haven't played it before. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. Take care, have a beautiful day, and later.